Peace and welcome to another episode of the Digital Recipe Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Atlas, and on this episode, I have my good friend from Richmond, Nigel Richardson. Hope you enjoy. We've worked years together now with Audacity Alliance. That's where I met Brother Nigel. Everybody put your hands together for Brother Nigel. Woo! Out in the podcast world. Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So, Nigel, I know that your position in Audacity has shifted just like mine has. And I know that your skill set and your skill list is limitless. So I'll let you, speak on what you would like to speak on first of, introducing yourself.
Well, thank you. That was a great little segue. I have to keep our friend Crystal in the back of my mind when I do my introduction because she's always like, hype yourself up, friend.
Right. That's how she is for sure.
I guess the best way that I have been describing myself lately is as an experience curator. I work primarily in curating art exhibitions and events here in Richmond, Virginia. I've been doing that now for about 6 years or so, and I've really kind of found my passion and my niche for being able to, like I said, create experiences that are memorable for people, but also I realize that I'm kind of doing a human service now and trying to bring people together, create community, create spaces of joy by creating spaces for people to just come together and be their authentic selves.
For sure.
And so doing that has brought me joy, and I see what it has done for my community. And so I'm really thankful for that. Music has always played a really big part in just my personal journey, but also the way that I think through my work and the events that I put together, because there's always a musical component.
Dope.
And so, the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is put on music. And it follows me. I have a different playlist that I play throughout the day. I have playlists that I've curated. And so getting this invitation from you was just like perfect. And I have been thinking about it nonstop.
Perfect.
What am I going to tell you today?
Right. Right. And I think that you're the perfect guest for this podcast, because I remember what was the rooftop? What was the rooftop in
Yes, there's a place called Hoffheimer in Richmond. It has a really nice rooftop. Yep.
So I think I already knew the talent, and I knew the knowledge that you have about music. But I think it really hit me when we were up there, just like organically enjoying Joy's tremendous DJing abilities and the music that she was transitioning into. And give me 1 second, I'm sorry. And enjoying the transition in her DJ set, and realizing that, like, yo, Nigel is hip to a lot of, he hip to a lot of music knowledge, because like the music was hitting me and I looked over, I was like,
it was hitting me too.
It was hitting you too, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh yeah, this would be perfect. So what album are we talking about today, Nigel?
Theo, you've had me stressed. I'm not going to lie. I mean, actual stress. And the number of times I have replayed these different albums, thought through critically, like what determines for me, like what I want to talk about is like my favorite.
For sure.
Now, I want to talk about some honorable mentions first before I really get into the one that we're going to talk about, if that's okay. Just spend a little bit of time.
No, that's perfect.
Because there were some ones that were really difficult for me to choose from. But my criteria.
Before you continue, I do want to say, Nigel, this is not the only time that you're going to be on this podcast. Like, there's going to be other episodes where we are going to spend time speaking about these albums that you love, because that's not fair. That's just, and it's not fair. Yeah, no, it's not fair. If I was a guest on a podcast like this and I wasn't invited back to talk about, the albums that I love, I would be
plural.
I'd be floored. But go ahead, I'm listening to you.
So I think that the criteria when I was thinking about, okay, what is my favorite album or what like resonates with me most?
Mhm.
If I can put on the first song and play it all the way through to the end and there's no skips,
Yes.
like everything hits as soon as it comes on, that to me is a distinguished album in my mind.
For sure.
And so there were a couple that came to mind. And so I'm gonna tell you what my honorable mentions are, and then we can talk about what I actually want to talk about today.
Okay.
The first one was Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. Beautiful storytelling. I mean, just like, just masterful storytelling.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge Frank Ocean fan. It's a phenomenal album. And so that one was really up there for me. The other one, because I'm a huge oldies, old head. I'm old soul for real. I Want You by Marvin Gaye is also in my honorable mentions. I think he gets a lot of notoriety for what's going on. And yes, phenomenal album is probably what people would say is like his best album. But I Want You, there's just something about the way that the instrumentation, I mean, we'll get into that maybe in another episode,
For
but it's a
sure.
phenomenal album. That was
For
in my
sure.
honorable mentions as well. And then my last one, which maybe was the hardest choice for me, is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill. That today, until literally this morning, is what I thought I was going to talk to you about. But in fact, what we're going to talk about is Who is Jill Scott by Jill Scott. That, my friend, that's an album. That is an album.
We're going to get into
And
this. I'm so glad that you picked that album. So
I don't
glad that you
know
picked that
when it's
album.
air. I think it's supposed to be next year. But anyway, this year, as in 2025, it is celebrating its 25th anniversary. And I listened to it all the way, all day I've been listening to it. And it has aged like fine wine.
Absolutely.
That's what good music does.
Absolutely.
And yes, so we're gonna talk about Miss Jill.
Okay. All right. So as a whole, what makes this particular album an amazing and great body of work?
I think it is the way, she has masterful use of her pen. I mean, that is a songwriting genius. And I say that because she doesn't just have a masterful use of her pen, she has a masterful use of words and her vocabulary to help visualize and help the listener like really understand what she's talking about.
For
And in
sure.
this album, she's talking about love. And I just think that it is one of the greatest albums about not just love songs. So we often talk about the best love songs. This whole album to me is about love. And I think that the way that she talks about every little element of it has, in many ways, there's so many songs on the album that resonate with me because it's like, oh, I remember that feeling. Or if I have not experienced it personally, I want to because, dag, look how it had Jill feeling. You know what I mean? Like,
so let me,
I want to be, yeah.
Let me ask you this. So, do you remember how old you were when the album came out?
Gosh, well, I would have been 5. Would have just had my 5th birthday. So I knew nothing about love. And what was I doing listening to Jill Scott? But
I think you knew something about love. I don't think that you had the wisdom yet because you didn't have the understanding or the knowledge, but you definitely you knew love because if you Nigel, I know you know what I'm saying? And I would imagine that your family surrounded you around art and music, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Now, that's what I was going to say, that even if I didn't understand love and what she was talking about, I understood the feeling that the album gave me and the feeling of the music.
Okay.
And hearing it even at that young age, because it's very much that sort of album that your mom was putting on Saturday mornings when y'all was getting ready to clean the house. It has that. That's what it pulls me back to more than like feelings of love. But as I've grown and matured and listened, that's when I'm like, wait a minute, she was really talking something over all of these beautiful melodic beats. There was message in there too.
Absolutely. Do you remember where you were when you first heard the album?
It would definitely have been at my mom's house. She would definitely have been playing that more, I think, than my dad. And it was probably one of those Saturday mornings that I was just waking up in our little apartment that we were sharing at that time. And my mom listened to, at that time, there was a lot of, my mom has an eclectic music interest, but there was a lot of Eric Benet and Maxwell and Lenny Kravitz and Prince and all of that being played. And so that was her kind of playlist. And so when you think about, the good music everybody was putting out in that 2000 time, the year 2000, that was a fantastic time for music and for those artists specifically that I just named.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think so you said you were 5. Nigel, I ain't know. You know how you talk to somebody and because the conversation is that of someone whose soul is older, you don't even ask, like it doesn't, like it never dawned or mattered to me how old you were. Because you're just a cool person. Like whatever age you were, it didn't define whether you were a dope individual or not to me. But you being 5 years old when that album came out,
it still got blowing away.
It's like, well, there are some things that there's some things that's not going to align time-wise with what we talk about. Now, I remember, ironically, well, it's not ironic, but my older brother, I mean, of course you heard the single, like you heard because the single off of that album, the first one I believe was
it would have been like A Long Walk or The Way, or those were like the big.
So not Long Walk and not The Way, but the one that the single in the video was actually the ass whooping song. What song is that?
Getting in the Way. Getting in the Way.
Getting in the Way. Getting in the Way. That year, I remember, was always on. The music video was always on television, and it was such a beautiful chemistry between frustration and protecting your love with something so beautifully put together and so melodically sounding. It's a very melodic, loving song, and I feel as though that was probably it was such a good chemical mix, because it was neo soul, but it was also some rah-rah shit. Like it was, I love this person. I know what you're trying to do, and I am willing to physically fight for this love.
Fight you, yes.
I'll fight you. And it was like some Loving Hood shit. And it really reminded me, I'm gonna tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of when I was when I was being babysat as a child, and the main woman, Miss Bessie, she was like Big Mama. Big Mama never, I mean, I ain't gonna call her Big Mama, her name was Miss Bessie, but Miss Bessie never laid a hand on me. Her children, who were my parents' age, did. Like they whooped ass. They weren't playing around. But Miss Bessie, after the ass whooping, would pull me to the side, straighten me out, talk to me real lovingly, and she would always say, "Now, you know that you're not supposed to be doing this. You don't want me to get up from this chair and whoop your ass, do you?" And it scared the hell out of me, but it was so kind and so nice, as in, I just want you to do better. I want you to do better, and I want you to know that if I got to get up out this chair to make you do better, I will. So don't let it get to that point. That's what that song reminded me of. It was such a loving way to let you know I will beat your ass.
Exactly. Because like you said, it's the ass whooping song, but it doesn't sound like the ass
It
whooping song. It
doesn't.
doesn't sound like Nuck If You Buck.
It
Like
doesn't.
it's the
Right.
same sentiment, but it doesn't sound like that. And like you said, it's the delivery and the way that it's a very like sister to sister type.
Right.
Listen, we here because this is what's going on, and this is my man. You know, I feel like it was a modern contemporary version of like that. What's that song? I think it's called Woman to Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about where the woman's on the phone, she's like, Barbara, this is Shirley. It was very much like, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and straighten this out for you. This is my man. You go ahead, do your thing, go off
Right.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely still waters run deep, where like I don't have to be yelling and screaming and out in the street and da 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 da. I don't have to do that. I can talk to you calmly, and I was always taught it's the calm ones that you need to worry about. It's the calm ones. It's the ones that can handle a low vibration situation with calmness and trying to think of the word that I am looking for, with strategy, like almost like a military strategical mind. And it's just like, yeah, you don't mess with those type of people.
No.
But I know that you were 5 when this album came out. When you got older, what feelings were you experiencing during the moment of the introduction, I guess, to this album? And can you remember like specific details, like the people, the weather, or even like different smells? Like what sense memory does it bring up listening to this album?
I think when it really started to resonate with me was actually at more of I don't want this to sound melodramatic, but it was kind of a more like dark, lonely time for me.
Sure.
Where, I had never really experienced love or romantic love in the way that Jill Scott's talking about it in this album, to the point where I think it was profound for me, because it's like, dang, I don't know if I've loved somebody that I'm getting ready to rock somebody out in the street for yet. Like, I don't know if I've gotten
yet is
I don't know if
nuts.
I don't know if, that's been my experience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, and I think that was, like I said, very profound, because it was like this journey that she took me on with all of these songs was like, she has really been like loved. Like this thing that we talk about has really been a feeling that she has gone through and experienced with a person or people,
for sure,
enough that she felt she wanted to write basically a whole album about that individual or those individuals. And so for me, I think it comes from a place of like yearning and desire for the type of love that she's singing about so eloquently and writing about so eloquently in this album.
Okay. Now, if you could pick one song from the album that sums up the entire album, which song would that be, and then why?
That's a very easy answer for me. My favorite song off of the album easily is "He Loves Me." Lizelle in E flat.
Not you doing the actual whole title of the song. Shout out to you for knowing the full title of that song.
Listen,
go ahead.
It is my favorite song off of the album. First of all, I think before I really went back and re-listened to the studio version of it from the album, I actually saw a live performance of it, where she's singing with an actual like symphony. If you haven't seen it, I will have to send you a link to it, because it is similar to like other neo soul artists. I don't know that they get their credit as vocalists as much as they should. Like Erica and Jill and all these people, they're putting it down vocally too. Like, yes, they got you feeling a certain type of way, but don't sleep on their vocals.
For sure.
And I think this particular performance of He Loves Me, that she sang live with the symphony, there's a moment where she like gets into like the climax of the song, and she's just like up there. She's just like riffing. She's got like this scatting, riffing,
doing runs,
just doing all the runs and the scats and the riffs, and she's got her eyes closed, and it's like she's like playing an instrument too as she's going, and she gets to the end of that, and she's just like, phew. I mean, she just lets out a sigh, and it's like, I remember that moment. It's like, dang, that was some real love. That was some real like intense feeling that made her go through this whole journey of remembrance to get to that space. And so when she talks about somebody that, you love me from my hair follicle to my toenail, you got me feeling free, like the breeze, easy and free. You know, like it's just, it's the depth of emotion, I think, in that moment where that really like spoke to me. I think another thing too, which I'll ask a question before we go down this line, is this who's the audience?
The audience is so the audience was going to be adults and children all together. But what I will do is, and what I'm going to do, and what I've had to do just from my past, from my recent guests, I want my guests to be free and speaking about music, because music is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a assistant to your freedom. Please speak freely, and I will leave it up to the parents to, you know, do what they will with their children. So please speak freely, my brother.
With a special disclaimer, like this episode gets a little bit spicy.
It's all good. Go for it.
I think with that love aspect, and we see this, or I see this, because I have actually had like a crush on Jill Scott for a long time. She's also a very sexual being, and she doesn't shy away from that either. This album is not all about love. It's also about the fact that she had some good sex. She got some good dick in her life, and it had her feeling a certain type of way. I mean, to talk about your whole morning waking up, toast, 2 scrambled eggs, grits, and you walking down the street just smiling for no reason.
Oh no, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
There's a reason.
So that also, she doesn't shy away from that, and there are so many elements of this album that speak to what that love with these men had her body feeling and doing, what they were doing to her and with her, that was so foreign, but she writes about it so eloquently. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that also at that time too, when I was discovering the album, I also had never experienced nothing like that either. You know, there was a difference. You know, there is a difference between sex and making love, and the idea of like, okay, she's talking about making love with these people. You know what I mean? And I think that it is for the type of woman that she is, my understanding of her and her evolution as a woman and as an artist is very much that she has had men who have loved her very deeply, who have also hurt her, no doubt, but have loved her deeply, and that she is a strong woman who desires a strong man.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've seen her, the clip from The Breakfast Club. If you can't tell me what to do,
you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. But
if you can tell me what to do,
you can tell me what to do. Yeah, I saw that clip.
And so, like I said, that it just speaks to her being a sexual being as well, and that, you know, a lot of this album too speaks not only just to like, you know, this love feeling, but like, no, there was some gritty, raunchy, sweaty, sex funky type. You know, that was there. It's present in every track. You know what I mean?
So that particular track that you're talking about is the name escapes me. What's the name of that? Oh, I feel so bad. What's the name of that track?
What I just He Loves Me? Oh, The Way.
The Way. So Little unknown fact, I know that track word for word. I know it word for word. If it comes on, I can sing it word for word. And I think that one of the things that sticks out as we're speaking about it right now, because I was wondering, as you were talking about it, I'm listening to you, but I'm also thinking to myself, why did I know that song word for word specifically? I would have to say it was the delivery of that track as a description instead of just a song. Like it was not only the storytelling aspect, because as she's telling it, as she's talking about her night before and what she's doing in the morning, she's describing what's currently happening and what just happened a couple of hours ago. And then it's also delivered very similar to a spoken word piece. And the fact that it was delivered like a spoken word piece, and at a time I was a rapper in a spoken word world. Spoken word was such a it speaks to me in a way where I can retain lines and verses when it's delivered that way. So even when it's slightly off beat, but it's still within the time signature, it was such a amazing song. And I think the thing that sticks out to me about that, not just the getting piped real good the night before, but like you're so mesmerized by this man that when your friends, the top thing is when you set your friends to the side to still, because you did what you did the night before. You're doing what you're doing right now as far as getting breakfast and preparing yourself in a very in a very routine way, but this routine is a little different. It's also the future plans, because it's like your girls, you don't want to be fronting on your girls, but I got this thing that I need to do.
Okay, I gotta handle this.
I gotta go do this again. I gotta go handle this again. So it was like, because I was still young. I was definitely not old enough to have experienced that. But I can say now, as an adult, I have absolutely experienced that.
Okay,
for sure.
Everybody
on both ends. I've been the person. I've been the guy in this situation, and I've also been the person that has had to turn like my homeboys away. Like, hey, brother, I ain't gonna make it today. I ain't gonna be able to make it tonight, God. I'm sorry, man. If you knew what I knew, so I understand. I definitely understand.
Yes.
Are there any songs that stand out now that didn't stand out around the introduction of you hearing it when you were younger?
I think that's a perfect segue, because it speaks to I want to talk about her as a poet. In addition to being like a songwriter and a musician in that way. Because the song Love Rain, pretty much all a poem. And there are so many songs actually on the album that are all they almost feel like interludes, like they're very short, often because it is her speaking, like you said, speaking on a beat in a very like poetic storytelling, direct, like she's talking to you type vibe, describing things so that you just can visualize it and get it. And I think that Love Rain is one of those for sure that gets me. Also, one is kind of random. Jill Scott is from North Philadelphia. She reps that hard.
Very hard.
I think the song that is I guess if I had to point at one and be like, which one doesn't match the rest of these things, it would be It's Love. It's Love has a very
Yeah.
go-go,
It
like that is a go-go beat pretty much happening. And like it's a very like, yeah. And
yeah.
so while everything else kind of rides this kind of very, I don't want to say mellow in a negative way, it
Mhm.
just has a certain vibration to most of the songs.
For sure.
It's Love kind of like turns things up a little bit. Um, and even just, I mean, I can hear as soon as
Yeah.
as soon as the
Dun, dun, dun,
drums
dun,
hit.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, yeah, that one really sticks out to me now as when I re-listen to everything from start to finish. Um, and I also just wonder about her placement for that and where she put it in the album. And then another one that stuck out to me when I was re-listening to it today, um, is a very little known track called "One Is the Magic Number."
Mhm.
Um, at the
Yes.
beginning of the track, she's speaking Spanish. Now, the kind of love and dick that got you speaking another language, you speaking in tongues, is something I aspire to. I want to love somebody so good that they go speak another language and write a song about it. I mean,
I
like that to me, when I heard it, was like, what is she? Is it
he
Spanish?
was like, "Let me download Babbel right now."
Exactly.
Mm.
So yeah, that I would say all three of those. Love Rain, which she has a really phenomenal live album,
Mm.
which she
Mhm.
does a really awesome live rendition of Love Rain. Um, but yeah, Love Rain, It's Love, and One Is the Magic Number all kind
Okay.
of stick out to me now as kind of like underrated songs, but also ones that I have come back to and been like, oh, dang, people sleep on this one.
For sure. Did did this album change the way that you look at yourself?
Absolutely. I'm trying to articulate how.
Mhm. Would you say that it do you think it fostered a understanding of how you see romantic love?
Absolutely. That's what it is. Yes, it has. Um, in a very, I think based on her experience, based on what she's writing about, based on what has happened in her own romantic love life,
Mhm.
um, I would still say, and I just celebrated my 30th birthday. I don't know that I have even experienced. Thank you. I still don't know that I've gotten to a place where I have experienced the kind of things that she's talking about in this album. So it
For
still
sure.
feels like um, aspirational ideal,
Mm.
like a fantasy, a fantastical kind of um, experience of love that is very personal to her. So I know that it exists.
For
Otherwise, I
sure.
would really think that it wasn't possible. But the fact that like this is like her real life is like, this really happens to people. There is
Absolutely.
hope. You know what I mean?
I can dig that.
So yeah, it is wanting to have those experiences, wanting to have those memories, wanting to be so inspired by the love that someone gives me and that I can give another person to want to write about it and explain it in this way,
For sure.
is profound.
Now, um, aging myself, which is I don't have a problem doing that. I'm
Yeah.
not of that I'm not of that mindset where age is a bad thing or an older age is a bad thing. I
Mhm.
am very grateful to be the age that I am, and you know, I stand proud in it. But aging myself, I remember who is Jill Scott in this house as a CD. So I
Mhm.
remember the I remember the jewel case. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
booklet. I
Mm-hmm.
remember reading
Booklet.
I remember reading the lyrics. I remember reading who was involved in the creation of the
Okay.
album, those
Mm-hmm.
type of things. And I understand that there are streaming platforms that now provide that information, or you could go into Wikipedia, Google, whatever, and then get that information um, to find out who was involved and who was connected to the project. For me, I would do I would do research so that it would introduce me to other music. So is there anything about this album that introduced you to other music?
Mm. Yeah, I think that it was. I think it was this album, but also just like the family of music that was happening at that time. Like I think I kind of broke down to you what my mom's playlist kind of looked like on a Saturday. If she was playing Jill, she was also playing, Maxwell and Prince and Erykah Badu and all these other people. I think that it opened me up to what that world of like neo soul looked like,
Mm-hmm.
entire genre, so that I in my mind, they are the architects of that. And
100%.
so when someone now can now talks about something being neo soul, I'm thinking about whether it fits into the same genre as like these sorts of albums. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that this introduced me to diving deeper into a lot of those other artists like Erica, like Maxwell, um, like Music Soul Child,
Mm-hmm.
all of those other people that just were also masters of writing about a lot of love, but just like emotion in general.
Right.
Um, and so I think it also connects really well when I'm trying to compare and figure out what I want to talk about today, and whether it was going to be the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, or whether it was going to be who is Jill Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I think that um, what Lauryn Hill also did in that album, which can we talk about the fact that these are like for both of them like their first solo studio album? Insane that
Absolutely.
you're coming out the block like you just coming swinging out the gate like that. It's kind of insane. Now Lauryn Hill has a whole body of everything before that, and so does Jill.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but the fact that they're like coming out doing that is insane. But what Lauren also does, in addition to like the way that Jill is singing while also kind of doing these spoken word pieces in
Mm-hmm.
between, is the same way that Lauren is singing, but also doing like raps, you
Mm.
know, intermingled in. So
Good
as I was
comparison.
trying to weigh the two, I was like, oh, this is really tough.
Mm-hmm. It's all good.
But yeah, I feel like that's the connector that I found in the way that it has introduced my way of listening to other music, and wanting to find themes in the way that artists are putting together and curating albums. I think it was maybe actually I think it was Beyonce actually who had like an interview, and she was like, people just are not making albums anymore. Like albums where you're thinking through every little song, the order of the songs, the story that you're telling from beginning to end. It is really a compilation of like hits. It's a compilation of like singles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, versus it being like a album. And I
That's
think that more recently there have been some artists who have surprised me and have taken me on that journey. Like a contemporary artist that I would put into that neo soul category that I really kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, is a real like it's like a real contemporary for Jill Scott is Jasmine Sullivan.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her One of her more recent albums, Hotels, goodness, spoke to me because I was going through a whole phase myself at the time. And so it really was a moment of, wow, she really is giving us a journey, through all of this.
Right.
Um, and that to me is a good album, but it's also just masterful storytelling, and music is a storytelling device.
Yes,
And
it is.
so, yeah.
Yes, it is. I think that's so that's one of the reasons that this podcast was created, is to assist with that idea that albums are important and bodies of work are important, and for us not to not for us not to forget, and for those who don't know, to introduce them to bodies of work that they would have never, they would have never run into or experienced. So I do want to say this though, with, I don't know if you knew this, but when the Roots came out with what is the song with, it's the Roots with Erykah Badu.
Yeah. If you don't worry about what
that song.
I saw. Yep.
Originally, the original person that was on that was Jill Scott. And if you already know this, that's cool. This is if you knew what it is, then this is for the audience. Jill Scott was the original person that was on that track. The label wanted somebody who was a little bit more well-known, who was a little bit more popular at the time. So they got Erykah Badu to do the lyrics. I'm sorry, to do the singing and the lyrics for that particular part. But live, whenever the Roots had the Roots Fest or they performed it live, they had Jill do it. And Jill and Erykah, at least in public, because of course I don't know them personally, but in public, they have what I believe is a very friendly and beautiful rivalry with each other. It's really, really beautiful, but because it's not a hate. Like, I don't feel hatred from the two, but I feel that both of them respect each other, and they're also like, but I'm also that I'm that too. So there's a moment on. Did you watch Dave Chappelle's Block Party?
I was literally about to bring that up. Theo, get out of my head. Go ahead.
So I can't watch Dave Chappelle's Block Party now because it's associated with so many feelings of this will never be again. Yeah. It's not that it's associated with bad memories. It's associated with the feeling of this was a moment that will never ever be created, and it will never ever happen again. And I mean, my God, J. Cole is in that. J. Cole is an audience member in the Dave Chappelle Block Party, and I had no idea about that until just recently. And there's like a clip, and I was like, Cole was in the audience. That's crazy. That's crazy. But there's a small part where Erykah Badu, because Erykah Badu goes on stage before Jill. Jill is backstage in the green room watching Erykah Badu.
Exactly what part you're talking about, because I was going to bring up the same thing. But go ahead.
And you know what? It's your
no.
It's your episode. You can pick up from where I just left off.
In my mind, the way that it is described, it is, because it was that kind of art rivalry. These are two kind of neo soul queens that are doing this music. And so the way I remember it, there's a person that's kind of like backstage, kind of like asking her like, hey, like, how do you feel when you see her up? You did this song, like, how do you feel when you see her up there? It's the most humble flex of maybe that I've ever seen.
So humble.
And Jill is just kind of like, I'm sorry, have you seen me sing? Like, but I'm sorry, have you seen me on stage?
But let me say this though. There's a detail. He asked that, and she's like, oh, she's great. Look at her. And then I think Erykah took her wig off, and she was like,
because the wind was blowing. It was very windy.
And she killed it. She was like, yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah.
And I think the interviewer was like, are you nervous to go after her? And she was like, shh, have you heard me? Do you know me? Exactly. And then it cuts to the scene of Jill being out there, and her hair is blowing, and she's just demanding, like, She has such a demanding presence on the stage. And then the camera angle that they caught her in the very beginning of her set. I was like, the editing it's so hard for me to watch that now because it's such a perfect piece of art. Yeah. And with Dave hosting and ushering in that, from you know, from his show being this amazing show, but introducing people like Kanye West, assisting with Common, assisting with Consequence, assisting with Talib Kweli, and just that vibe, bringing De La Soul, De La Soul as a musical guest, having Mos Def as, I believe, the first musical guest in the car, which was just I'm not gonna call it a fluke, but it was a thing that they did that now is it's now a tool that influencers are using, where it's like we're performing in the car, or you know, not Jimmy Kimmel, but is it Jimmy Kimmel that does the car?
I think his name's James Corden. I think
James Corden. That's exactly who it is. James Corden does the car concerts now.
Karaoke. Yep.
You know, car karaoke. I apologize. But doing that and then adding this movie, this live performance, turn it into a movie, and then giving college kids the ability to be a part of history with these historical legends was such an amazing idea and such a moment for the culture. It was such a moment for the culture, and Jill was a part of that. But again, just wanted to add that little, you know, that little bit of information for anybody that's watching that did not see that. That's called Dave Chappelle's Block Party. I think it was on Netflix for a while. If it's not, please check it out. Not even please check it out. Check it out. You need that for your. You need that. You need that. But
I think you speak very clearly about the connection between a lot of those artists. You know,
for sure.
There is a interlude in the middle of this Who Is Jill Scott album that's got the Roots in it.
Right.
And it's, what's your name, girl? What's your name? And it's got her like singing, spelling her name. And so that connection there between.
Yeah, that was my joint. Oh my God. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's what music does sometimes. I was getting ready
to sing it too. Yeah, so that connection there, that's why I said, like, okay, yeah, this is her first studio album, but like she was performing with them and in other places and on other stages before, you know, ever getting to this place where people really were knowing who she was, and that's why she titled the album in that way.
Right.
The connection between like her and the Roots, clearly, but then also I was listening to, I think it was another podcast or an interview or something somewhere that was talking about how a lot of those artists back then were like almost in these, like, how do I describe them? Just like these pools of creativity together where they're doing things,
Super
you know, because yes. So they were talking about how D'Angelo was recording in the same studio as like Erykah Badu. I mean, like they're all like right down the hall from each other. You know what I mean? And you can feel the influence of each other in the way of like, okay, yeah, I could see Erykah Badu listening to this track being played, but you know, like you can just kind of feel that community in the way that their music was put together, and sonically just what it did for you at that time. But yeah, you probably know the backstory a little bit better, but it's phenomenal.
Questlove tells that story.
Yes, that's who it is.
Questlove tells that story, and I remember hearing that story and trying to envision myself as a fly on the wall during that time. And I was just like, those sessions just running from room to room, especially being a session drummer or a session
Yes. Yeah.
pianist or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and you had the job of going from room to play in these sessions, and then the super group that we will never hear. Um, I don't get upset. Like I used to be like, damn, what a bummer. Like what a bummer that we'll never hear these super groups come out or not come out, but never hear the music from these super groups as a group. I used to get upset, but now I look at it as I'm so privileged to be able to hear this music at the time that I heard it because it means something to me. It means something different to me than I think that it would have meant if it would have came out and I was much older and it wouldn't have resonated with me because, it just wasn't my time. But moving forward, because I don't I don't want this again. You picked an album that we could have a 5-hour
song for song. Yeah, we could go song for song and talk through the whole thing. Yeah,
we sure could. We sure could. So, how often do you listen to this album now?
So often, if I'm doing like a long road trip, sometimes I don't want a playlist. I'll just put like albums on that I can listen to. So I'll put this on, and then I'll put on the Miseducational Lauryn Hill, then I'll put on Channel Orange, and then I'll put on Lord, what's that? I forgot. That should have been in my honorable mentions. What was the it might have been her last album, Rihanna's album. Hold on. Anti. Anti.
Yo, Anti, that's another great album.
Listen, because that's another no skips.
That's such a good no skips. I would say that's the first Rihanna album that I listened to.
Really? Well, actually, I think you're right because I knew her as a single girl.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I think I listened to like an album from beginning to end for her.
Yeah. Absolutely. The first album that I listened to, and I was just like, I need to go back. It was one of those moments. It was like, I need to go back and listen to Rihanna.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anti was
her last album in 2016. That is insane.
Right.
That was her last.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Been begging for music almost 10 years. Leave that lady alone.
All right. I like her where she is. I don't like to bother. I don't like to, as a fan of artists, I don't like to bother artists when they're not ready to come out with albums, or if, because I'm not waiting. I think that's a false. I don't know. I feel like that's to me, it's a false mindset. It's not a real mindset because you're not really waiting. Number one. Number two, as a fan of the artist, I want the artist to be happy. And
Absolutely.
if they are happy running a $1 billion company, or if they are happy with their husband or wife creating children and just doing that,
exactly.
The discography that you've given me over the years is enough love for me. It's enough music for me. I don't need new. I love what you've already created. It's a piece of art.
Yep. And it's the same with how these artists are touring off of what they have. You've got Erica, you've got Jill touring off of music that they've been making for a long, long time.
For sure.
And so I think that speaks to the fact that Jill is still performing these hits and everybody is singing along to The Way because we know it just like you know it.
For sure.
So why it's so amazing.
For sure. So wrapping this up, last question. Which song from this particular album would you have someone listen to so that they could get interested in the entire album? Like if you had one song to pick, what song would that be?
As like an intro to it all, it would probably have to be The Way.
I would agree.
It would probably have to be The Way. Yeah, it's The Way.
It's The Way. All right.
It's The Way.
So, Nigel, thank you so much. I appreciate
And
everything. This wasn't as painstaking as you thought it was, right? Like this wasn't as
not at all.
hard. This was easy. I'm telling you, the people that I have invited were like, yo, you had me on. I was stressing. I didn't know what to say. I didn't like, no, I got you. I'm gonna guide you through this. This is supposed to be fun. But for everybody that's out there that's listening, please, if you've never listened to the album, first start off with The Way, and then listen to the entire album, Who is Jill Scott, by Jill Scott, her freshman album. This has been the Digital Recipe Podcast with your host, DJ Atlas, and my brother Nigel. Thank you again. Tune in next Tuesday. Peace.